ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to protect the purchasing power of your constituents over the long run, like this is probably the best way to go about it and adopt one of these Bitcoin reserves.
What is the big news that was shared yesterday by the Premier, and how important is that for Alberta?
It's extremely inspiring to see the Premier and the rest of the officials around her, like Minister Nally, Minister McDougall, Minister Glubish, want to engage with the industry, taking the proper time to sit down and spend multiple hours at a regulatory roundtable, and two, looking at potentially establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the industry. Now, which form that's going to take and how, it's a question of implementation detail at the end of the day. But the fact that the officials and the Premier herself are at the table sends a very strong signal to everyone that Alberta is indeed open to this space and is indeed open for business.
So this all kind of started in El Salvador, and then we saw a few kind of, I don't want to say random, but just a few, states all around the world, kind of adopt Bitcoin, whether it be as a strategic Bitcoin reserve, that's more recent, or before that, El Salvador as a legal tender. What we saw in the US is when one state made the move, multiple followed. I don't know, I think it's maybe 10 or 15 states right now that are at different stages of adopting Bitcoin as part of their treasury and their strategy. Do you think we'll see the same in Canada, where maybe other provinces will follow suit quickly after Alberta?
I sure hope so, and I would definitely like Alberta to lead the way. Now, it is definitely a race. It's happening at the city level, at the municipal level, at the provincial and federal level in the United States. All of these large, let's say, administrative bodies, I wouldn't necessarily call them asset allocators, understand that the asset isn't going anywhere. It is the highest returning asset of the last 15 years, and it is a very good hedge to a large degree to some of the fiscal deficit spending that's happening all around the globe. If your money is losing 8% year over year because of the amount of printing that happens because of unbalanced budgets, it doesn't really matter if the inflation is at 2% or at 3% or at 5%. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to protect the purchasing power of your constituents over the long run, like this is probably the best way to go about it and adopt one of these Bitcoin reserves.
Yeah. And finally, in 30 seconds, we've seen the pace of change in the U.S. as it pertains to crypto under Trump. A crypto tsar, a crypto ball, various meetings. I mean, some of them are maybe more questionable than others, but I think the industry is generally very, very favorable and receptive to seeing a president of, mind you, the largest economy in the world be so, embracing of this industry. Can Canada still catch up, and if so, how?
We definitely need to catch up. Can we 100%? Will it be difficult? 1,000%. There are a few challenges and barriers, and there's a strong need for leadership in the space. Now, with that said, not all is lost, and to share a bit of very positive news from our end, over at Balance, as of yesterday morning, Bow Valley Credit Union, which is a local Alberta credit union, as the first deposit-taking institution in Canada, has enabled access to Bitcoin for their whole member base with custody provided by us. So it is possible. You do need leaders that understand the vision, that understand the space, that understand what that can do for their clients ultimately. And if the Bow Valley did it, I'm pretty sure others can do it as well. And hopefully some other credit unions and eventually banks will follow suit as well.
Congratulations on that news and the many recent news that you've had. You've definitely been building in the trenches, and we know how hard it is. Speaking of which, as an entrepreneur, as a builder, what would be your message to yourself 2 years ago? What would you do perhaps differently, or what would you tell your peers, entrepreneurs today, they need to maybe prioritize or watch out for if they're building in crypto in Canada?
That's actually a very tough question. I'll try to address both. What would I have done differently 2 years ago?
Move to Calgary sooner?
Potentially. So go where you're welcome and where you're valued. And I guess that's the general advice for any entrepreneur in the space also. We do have the system that we have, the provincial, territorial, federal system. Some jurisdictions are more welcoming than others. You don't have to stay in them forever. Obviously, you can maintain a national and potentially an even global vision, but it's definitely easier to operate in some places than others. I'm extremely excited to be here. It's probably been one of the best moves that I've done after having spent the last 10 plus years in Toronto, myself personally, but then also with the business. So I'd highly encourage everyone to take a strong look at the province.
Wonderful way to end this interview. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure.